This podcast is sponsored by BCH. BCH have been providing flats-specific reinstatement cost assessments for almost 20 years, with the building's insurance premium often contributing to a large portion of a service charge. BCH can provide specialist, third-party, unbiased, RICS-compliant reinstatement cost assessments, allowing the managing agent maximum compliance and best practice and the placement of the most competitive buildings insurance. Their commitment to accessible, prompt and accurate buildings insurance valuations has seen BCH secure the best first step in buildings insurance for over 600,000 flat owners. For a quote, please contact info@bch.uk.com today.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Four Walls, the podcast where I discuss the fascinating world of residential property management and explore the stories behind the professionals who shape our living spaces. I'm your host, Jodie Fraser, and today I have an incredible guest joining me, Carly Melling. And Carly is the head of residential operations at Savills, where she leads the management and operations of the iconic Battersea Power Station. With an impressive career spanning over 19 years in the residential property sector, Carly has a wealth of experience under her belt. She started her journey as an administrator at Countrywide, quickly climbing the ranks to become an associate director at Gateway after nearly a decade of hard work. Carly then took a leap of faith into the bustling world of London, joining Berkeley Group as head of operations. And this pivotal role not only deepened her understanding of large complex estates, but also allowed her to deliver operational excellence and drive significant revenue streams for the business. In addition to her full-time role, Carly also shares her expertise through consultancy, advising leaseholders and property management professionals alike. It's clear that her passion for the industry is as strong today as it was when she first started. And when she's not revolutionising residential operations, Carly enjoys long hikes with her partner Robert, indulging in the latest culinary delights and staying active in the gym, a habit she proudly maintains from her bodybuilding days. So whether you're a property management professional or simply curious about the industry, you won't want to miss this conversation. Thank you, Carly, for being with me today.
It's quite something when you read it out loud and hear it back. It's mad. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, 19 years, that's amazing. Can you tell me a bit about your initial role as administrator and what you ultimately learned from that experience to drive you forward?
I think just to go one step back from that, which kind of leads me into the property world, I left school and really wanted to be in theatrical hair and makeup. I was quite creative, and it was something that I was keen to do. And unfortunately, the course fell through, and I ended up landing a job in the local hairdressers. So I was a hairdresser for a couple of years, and I got to the point where I thought, right, I'd like to get a house, I'd like to get a mortgage, and on the salary that you earn as a hairdresser in training, it's impossible. So I thought, right, I need an office job, put my notice in. But the reason I mention that is that it gave me so much exposure to so many different types of people. So I knew that I wanted to be in an environment and a career where I was dealing with things I was passionate about, and people was one of them, and property was another, because I moved around a lot when I was younger. So buying houses, selling houses, new homes, building homes, it was something that I'd been exposed to a lot. And so I thought, right, office job, off I go. Went to a local recruiter and happened to go in there when they needed a week's cover for an administrator within the recruitment firm. And I said, great, I'll take it. And they obviously picked up I was a quick learner, and they said, any job that comes in this week, let us know if you want to have a look and have a go at it. And one of them was Countrywide. So I thought, right, that sounds up my street. It's to do with property. And luckily got through that recruitment process. My people skills paid dividends with that, and I ended up managing a SIPS portfolio at Countrywide, and it all went from there. So Countrywide, a couple of years there doing the admin, learning the ropes of an office job essentially from beginning, which was unusual for me. And then had a couple of conversations with the same recruiter who'd placed me there, who said, we've got these other roles, and Gateway came up. So then got into that, was an assistant junior administrator, basically a glorified tea maker, as you are when you do your first job. Yeah, and I had an incredible mentor at Gateway, Ben Marr, who in the industry at the time was really well respected, well known, and yeah, I kind of sat under his wing for almost the entirety of my time at Gateway, until he sadly passed away just about a year before I left. Yeah, I owe a lot to Ben, actually, thinking about it, but I basically had been there for so long. I thought, you know what, I went through a bit of a life change, big messy breakup, as they tend to do. They make you take a step back, pivot, see what else is out there. And I'd always said, London is not for me. I will never go there. Everyone's rude, everyone's in a rush, everyone's running around and stressed, and it's not for me. And then this headhunter sort of came along, this recruiter, and he said, I've got this role, and I think, you know, now's your chance, now's a good opportunity. And I went to interview at Berkeley, and yeah, the rest there is history. Got the job, and moved on from there as after nearly 5 years. So it's been quite something of a journey from a hairdresser on the shop floor, I must admit.
Yeah, definitely. Can you still make good tea though? That's the thing.
Coffee. We start in property and we move to coffee very quickly.
That's very true. Or just multiple cups of tea, which is, I think I'm fueled on that, to be fair. That and paracetamol.
Yeah, caffeine, painkillers and sugar.
Yeah. Just bring the chocolate, just keep it going. But how was the experience how has it shaped your perspective on, you know, you're doing quite a large scale residential development now. How has your career path shaped that perspective in order for you to be able to do the great job that you do?
A lot of my high-end residential experience has come from the Berkeley world, and what I loved about being there was being involved in the pre-development team, you know, design for management, and actually being involved when you're sat there looking at stage 2 plans being submitted, and having that insight and understanding from very early on, and doing that to the level of a very high-end luxury developer standard that Berkeley has. It's definitely given me that perspective of a different type of market. You know, the things I was looking after at Gateway, the portfolio I had some lovely buildings, don't get me wrong, but they were purely residential, maybe an office on the ground floor. But that completely switched when I got to Berkeley, and you walk into these gorgeous amenities, incredible spaces on mixed use sites. You know, we weren't just talking about one shop, it was a theatre and the Ivy and these big brands, and having an understanding of how all of that integrates and kind of works together is really important. So having all of that background and then moving to a scheme like Battersea, I have had some iconic buildings in my portfolio with Berkeley. It gave me that insight, I guess, into what the expectations were of that clientele, which were very different to your one up, one down or 6-unit block in Suffolk, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell me a bit about the development, about how does Battersea Power Station work as a development, as a residential development?
God, I love it. I'd love to.
Yeah,
so
go for it.
It's awesome. I absolutely love working at Battersea Power Station. It's such a challenge and such a reward and such an incredibly unique site. The way it all works together, it's been clearly, I mean, I've been there for about 18 months and clearly prior to me, there was an awful lot of development and learning and growing the team to make sure that we were fully staffed to manage such a huge site. I think it's 42 acres. I hope I've got that right. 2.5 million square foot of residential. You've got over 1 million square foot of like office and workspace. Apple's HQ, Shark Ninja's HQ. We've now got Fosters and Partners who actually designed the last phase, moved in, and all of our other F&B and retail offerings. It's such a massive giant to try and keep moving and integrating all those different tenures together and making it work. I work with the commercial retail team, I work with the ops team, the finance team. A lot of us are based on site, so there's around 50 of us on site at the moment for Savills, just keeping the place alive, keeping it going and keeping it growing as well. So yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I still come out the station and look up. You can't not. You come out the tube and you look up and you just walk towards the power station in awe, because there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful building, and that's just looking from the outside. You know, imagine everything that you get to do and achieve and work within it, as you say, it must be so rewarding when you get to walk back out of there at the end of the day thinking, that's where I work. That's great.
Absolutely. It's exactly that. And it just doesn't get boring. You think after 18 months of looking up and seeing the power station, it's the same, but even when the sky changes, it's still, it makes a difference. And we've got some awesome occupants on site, retail and resi, and everybody together, so diverse. There's just so much going on, and the reward that you get from being able to solve a problem that's been going on for longer than it should have, or finally getting a resident to a space with a defect that they've been trying to get to for a little while. There's so many little challenges along the way, and each one of those that you can satisfy the resident and get closed out, it just makes you think, right, yeah, I've got this, I know what I'm doing. Not that I need the reassurance, I guess, but it is nice to get that, because it can be quite rare sometimes in our industry to get that positive feedback, and starting to see the changes that I was brought in to make come to life. Nothing beats it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think if you can come in when you've got a list of problems or troubles or something that somebody, as you say, is trying to, they're just hitting their head against a brick wall every time, and you come in and you solve that problem for them, from a career perspective, that definitely is, one of the top things, isn't it? To just, great achievement there. But
yeah, for sure. It really is something that, sorry, my phone was going off there.
It's okay, don't worry.
It really is something above and beyond what I expected. Battersea had, I say, a reputation. There was, rumblings of unhappiness, and I don't think that's any secret, but it wasn't to the point where it couldn't be sorted out. And when they said to me, we want you to take on this role, like, don't get me wrong, there's loads of great stuff about it. It's not like it needed a complete overhaul, but there was definitely some things where they needed someone with experience. Like, I had to come in and say, look, this isn't working. We need to pivot. We need to change tact. We need to put in a new strategy. And there was a few areas of that to be done. And so I put in a program I did a gap analysis, put in a program of things that I wanted to look at and change and improve. And I'm still working through that now. I've still got 3 to 4 months of that program left just to deliver on the last of my commitments. But each time one of those gets ticked off, it is rewarding, but it's most rewarding to see the impact that it has on the site and on the residents and the leaseholders and the client as well.
But it's great that you've been able to go in and do that and have the skills to be able to do that as well. But you've mentioned before about, the best in class service. What does that mean to you in the context of your job?
It's one of my interview questions. When someone comes along for a property management role. Best in class for me, it's not a one size fits all. It's completely dependent on your site and your demographic. So best in class to somebody who's in that 6-unit converted building in Southend versus a high net worth individual who's got a £30 million apartment on top of one of the most iconic buildings in the UK or nationwide even. It's completely different. And for me, it's about delivering the service. The best in class is relevant to the person that you're dealing with, and just delivering the service that meets their expectations. And that's what makes it that little bit more challenging, is that's easy when you've got one person and you know what their best in class expectation is, but it doesn't necessarily meet their neighbours or Joe down the road or Sally up the top. It's all completely varied. So for me, it's about managing to keep a balance and an understanding of what the needs are of those residents and those occupants on site, and making sure that we're consistently meeting those expectations or going above beyond them, which for now is the next kind of goal for me. It's the next deliverable that I want to just not only do everything that they expect of us, but also do something that little bit more, put those extra little special steps in place, or those extra experiences that really do make you come in from a long day at work, walk into your concierge, see the guys, something's going on, something makes you smile. Like that, for me, impacting that every day and meeting the expectations and going beyond them collectively, that is a best in class experience.
And I like that you've said that, because you've got the one site, but if you've got multiple sites on your portfolio, for example, that you're managing as a property manager, then every lease is different, every board of directors is different, every resident is different. Everybody expects something different from you, and you think that you can be going in doing, everything that's been agreed. And I certainly had it with a client. And I actually compared it, and this might sound awful, but I actually compared her to a bit of sort of coercive control, right? And I know that sounds really dramatic.
No,
and I work with the Holly Gazard Trust, and I know about all the training and stuff around that. But everything that we did never met, even though you could literally follow the letter, follow what her instruction to the letter, and go above and beyond that. It was, well, I didn't ask you to do that. Yes, you did. It's here in black and white. This is literally what you said. It's really, really hard to meet people's expectations, especially now. I mean, how do you handle conflict or difficult situations with residents? Is that part of your role, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially being the head of the residential team there, obviously anything that gets escalated will eventually end up with me. So something that I live by, and I posted this on my LinkedIn really recently, is a Brené Brown saying, which is clear as kind. And it's something that I probably say at least once a day. And I'm pretty sure I get an eye roll every now and then about it. But it is so basic and so simple, but yet the easiest way to deal with conflict and resolution. Because as I say, around that saying, clear is kind. So if you're on a football pitch and someone's trying to score, right, you know where the goal is. You know how big the goal is. You know which direction you're heading in, hopefully, unless you're not an avid football player.
Yeah. If there's something really wrong that's gone on.
Yeah, or you come on after half time and forget. But yeah, if you can't see the goal, if you don't know how big the goal is, if you don't know where it is, how on earth can you be expected to score? And for me, that's like the epitome of conflict resolution. It's that if I'm not clear with the person who's got the issue, or the person with the issue is not clear with me, not just about what it is, but what their expectation of the resolution is, then I'm not going to be able to solve that. Not without doing a decent amount of interrogation, which can aggravate people. If I'm asking question after question, I just want it sorted. But I need to know what for you that means, because sorted for Jodie is different than sorted for Carly. Like, you might expect, the problem resolved plus a £100 in compensation and a nice Fortnum Mason hamper. And I might expect you to just get the job done while I'm out, let yourself in, sort it out, leave, and never talk to me again. And for me, that's sorted. Everyone's so different. So yeah, that conflict for me, the resolution lies in clarity. And once you've got that, you know where you're headed, you know where your goal is.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to me about your consulting work. So is that something that you're doing alongside what you do now? Is it something you've done in the past? Is it something you aspire to? Talk to me about that a little bit. What you do? Yeah,
sure. It's not live project at the moment. It's something I've done. I mean, Battersea has taken my life from me just for now.
Yeah,
which is
like 3 full-time jobs.
Every phase is a full-time job. We've got 3 live phases. No, it's definitely, Battersea has been a real focus for me, and I've made a point of that. So haven't done any for a while, but the last piece of work that I did was just with another managing agent, a more local managing agent, and it was around a tender proposal for a new build development, so an off-plan development, and again, something that I've had a lot of experience in, they hadn't. So they were reaching out to say, look, if you were on the receiving end of our pitch, what do you expect to see as a client? What would tick your boxes? What would make us stand out from the others that are in that tender process? So I worked through a tender presentation with them. We looked at high-level budget figures for the proposal. We looked at a strategy, a management strategy, put that out in a high-level document as well. And just really setting out for me, with my client side experience, what I would expect to see from that agent that would make me go, yeah, I think you're the guys for the job. So that was really nice, because it enabled me to look at it from a client perspective, but not actually be the person in the chair. And you can be a little bit more creative. There's a bit less pressure there. So that was really nice. And it's also good to be able to give someone the tools to be able to then do that again, because once you've given them that insight and talked them through that process, the next tender opportunity that comes up, you know, they don't really need you. They've got everything that they require to go ahead and go again. So that was really nice. And then I've just done some other pieces of work for sort of friends, one of them local, who received a Section 20 notice for roof works. And my God, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. 100% sure it wasn't compliant. I know that the Section 20 wasn't set out, and I know there's no prescribed form, but we all use the form that you can find online, of course. But the guidance sets out the requirements of the Section 20 notice. There were certain things missing. The consultation period was too short, and the quotes varied from 40,000 to 250,000. And they hadn't adopted a surveyor to look at this work. You know, it was wild. And you do have to, when you've been in it so long, you forget, you do have to take a step back and go, this is terrifying for an everyday person to get a letter that tells them and it didn't have the apportionments in it. It didn't have their contribution. It just said 40 to $250,000. And this is down the road in Leigh-on-Sea. And you do take a step back. And I could see the fear on her face. And she was like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't have 40 grand. And the panic was real. And there's definitely a need, and this is one of the things I'm really passionate about as well, is our industry. We all take it for granted when we've been in it for a while. I think we can all probably put our hands up to that. But to just put things in plain English, because, yeah, you can serve a Section 20 and legally it's compliant, but morally, ethically, professionally, is that person getting that letter going to end up in tears? Like, are they going to understand it? Does it make sense to them? And if the answer is no, you're going to get very angry, upset, frustrated residents, and that's the point at which you're going to end up with a big problem with that project, you know. But if you're out the gate with a soft launch of, hey guys, listen, your roof's in really bad state of repair, you know, Joe, Mary and Joseph have all got leaks on their flats and they've all got water coming in, and, you know, this is going to happen and this is how it's going to happen. I think we're all a bit guilty of following procedure, and actually we need to take a step back from the customer service angle and say, so I've gone off on a total tangent here, but
no, I get it, because I think where we're all falling into everything is on like these online cloud-based systems now, and it's literally a tick box exercise for a property manager. Section 20, right, send that to that client, that client, that client. Are we losing that customer service experience? And I had this conversation with somebody else quite recently that, you know, there was a cleaning company who had been doing this particular, like, I think 40 of this managing agent sites for about 10 years. So basically that was their business. Their business relied upon this managing agent. And then the system sent out quote requests, they sent their quote back, and it was literally like, no on the tick box, and they lost all 40 of those sites with no conversation. God. They lost their business.
No, that's
there was no chat about it. There was no, like, the property manager ringing them up and saying, look, you're not the cheapest quote, or even speaking to the residents to say, look, these people aren't the cheapest quote, but they've been with you for 10 years. Are you happy with them? Are you okay to continue with them? I think we are very slowly but surely losing that aspect to things, and especially as newer property managers are coming into the industry who only ever work on these types of systems and don't have the years of experience behind them when you had to pick up a phone to a contractor or, you know, and your one-man bands and stuff. And I think we're really losing that, which is a shame because we're losing really good contractors at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's part of ESG as well, like that environmental and social as well, because you're talking about including the local people and bringing the community together. And if you've got those 10 blocks within a 5-mile radius in a local town, people do know people and they do build relationships, and there's a lot to be said for that relationship building piece. For me, it goes between the property manager and the leaseholder and the tenant and the client and the supply partners, and it's huge. And the knock-on impact of not having those conversations and not being face to face is, as you say, it can be devastating. It can take a whole business down. And yeah, sure, like, ring them up and say to the residents, this is going to cost you an extra 20 quid a month, but you've still got your familiar face, you know. And they do build those relationships personally as well, because I've had people, and, you know, putting aside the red tape and all that, you have a cleaner who might take someone's bins out when they've had an operation, or bring a carton of milk for someone. Like, I've had that happen before because they've recognised the need. That's above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I work predominantly in Cheltenham, so it is a very small community, really, and the developments there are, as you say, the cleaner might pop in and they might see that actually poor Mrs. Smith, who's 90 years old, hasn't brought her milk in for a couple of days. Is she all right? And that to me is what I got into the industry, not to bring in somebody's milk, but do you know what I mean? To that's why I got into the industry, for those relationships. And going back to your Section 20 point, I remember, I think I'd only been in the industry for maybe about 3 or 4 years, and there was, the elderly lady who received this Section 20 notice, and she was just like, all you had to do was come round and tell me what this was about, not send me a letter. And I felt so terrible, but that's how I was trained to do it. So you don't know any different until you know different, do you, ultimately?
Absolutely. No,
but that really stuck with me, that if you're thinking about doing something, imagine saying that to your 90-year-old grandma.
Absolutely. Yeah, you come in and you're wet behind the ears and you're told to do it this way. And there is a bit of a generational thing in our industry with that, because I always say, like, when I started, it was freeholder says, leaseholder does. And that was the end of the conversation. Consultation was limited to the bare minimum of the legal requirement. It wasn't, people didn't have access and knowledge. The internet, still even 20 years ago, it wasn't as widely used as it is now. You couldn't chat GPT how to do a Section 20 application or read a notice. The FTTs were quite unheard of. It really was a different landscape, for no pun intended, for property management, and how you as a property manager were taught to deliver that service. The freeholder was the customer, not the leaseholder. But now that has 180'd completely. That leaseholder, that's your end user, that's your customer, that's the person that is paying the service charge to keep the building running. So you do now have a huge customer experience element of the role, and that was a big piece of work that I've done at Battersea, is changing that customer experience as well. So like I said, going back to when I got into it, I loved dealing with people. I loved the conversations with people. I loved the 90-year-old lady that would come in for a blow dry once a week, or the guy at the fish market that would come in on a Thursday and come and be like, I just need a full wash down, basically,
please just clean me.
And he did stink of fish, but he gave whoever did his hair wash, you'd get a 20 quid tip, and when you're earning £60 a week, you were queuing up to wash that fish man's hair. So,
I don't care what you smell like, I want that 20 quid.
It's a third of my salary at the time. I was an apprentice. It was a lot of money.
Brilliant.
So it was it's about that. Again, it goes back to that relationship and knowing the people, and they are people. It is your nan, it's someone's nan, it's not a pension. And I guess that's the other thing. It's like, you don't even think at the age of 20 about a pension. It hasn't even crossed your mind. And to think now, knowing what you know about how you're planning your future and your finances, and you think, my God, this little old lady's on a state pension and she's just got a bill for £5,000. How on God's green earth is she going to do it? You do have a completely different approach through life experience as well as work experience.
Yeah, I completely agree. But talking about well-being and work-life balance and all of that kind of stuff that we try to do, how do you maintain your work-life balance in such a crazy, demanding role?
In a crazy and demanding way.
Yes.
It's a crazy demanding role, and I manage it in a crazy demanding way. It's very movable. Like, some weeks I'll find myself coming home and I'll work, an extra hour at night just to get the email inbox down. And it's not expected. It's not a requirement. It's more for my own peace of mind, because, again, everyone's different in that respect. For me, when I'm on holiday, I do like to check in to keep the inbox numbers down. And for some people, they're like, no, absolute switch off, hard no, not doing it. For me, the peace of mind comes from knowing what I'm coming back to as well. Yeah. So that's a bit different for me. I do love a holiday, so planning ahead for those as well is important. But the day-to-day, I think it's just about, I try and structure. I find that my mornings are quite meeting heavy. So I'll block out spaces in the afternoon. If I need to focus on a project, I'll often shut myself in a meeting room or save it for a Friday when I work from home, because that's when I'm not interrupted. Because of course, when you're leading a team of 4 or 5 people, you are, oh, Carly, could you look at this? Am I doing this okay? Is that all right? And those little interruptions, someone told me a statistic the other day, which I haven't fact checked, but it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get back into a task after you've been interrupted.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah. So it's about making sure you're carving out the space or the time relevant to the space you'll be in. So today, I know that I've got a couple of things I need to do, which are head down work, reading documentation, marking up, that kind of thing, feeding back. So I'll do that in my quiet time. And then making sure at the weekends I do fully switch off unless I'm on call. So getting to the gym, like you said, doing those walks and getting fresh air, for me, keeping a healthy body absolutely keeps a healthy mind. Like if I'm ill for a week and I'm laid up, I notice the impact on my mental health as well, for sure.
And do you find that you get poorly a lot doing this job because it's so fast paced, or because you're looking after yourself? It's okay.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm making a point of looking after myself. I do try and eat well. I make sure that I'm, as I say, going to the gym or doing walk. I do practice mindfulness as well. So even tiny little snippets of it, like some people, they say I can't meditate or I can't do mindfulness, and it does take practice. It's called a practice because you have to practice doing it to get it right, like the practice of meditation. But even something as simple as like when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, being mindful, doing that, not thinking, God, I've got to go to work and I've got to do this and I've got to make sure that meeting's sorted and have I made sure I've sent that email. I'm being present. And it's about the senses and, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can smell and feel. When you're brushing your teeth, all of those senses are activated, which sounds a bit mental. You can hear it, you can see it. Normally you're in front of a mirror or something, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can smell it. And engaging each of those senses as you're doing it, it's actually like a really nice kind of reset, or reset, you've only just woken up, but a kick-off to the day. And I try and, if I'm finding myself being a bit mad at work, a bit mental, I'll take a step back and then just do a quick, what can I see, hear, taste, smell, touch? And it brings you back into the room for a minute and it does calm things down. So it's a little trick of mine that no one really knows I do until now. So if you see me standing there at any point looking a little bit like, why does she look like she's smelling something?
Yeah, and touching the walls.
I launch myself at the nearest wall and sniff it. It's just because I'm being mindful. It's fine. I'm okay.
Oh, bless you. So I ask a lot of my guests this question: common misconceptions of our industry. Any thoughts?
How do I word this? I think the most common misconception is that we are just billing everybody loads of service charge because it's fun and we want the money.
And it all goes to us.
And it's all for the Christmas party fund. Yeah. Because it's absolutely a focus at the moment, as we all know, in terms of the mainstream media, how leasehold is a feudal system and it's archaic and it's all these other really negative words that are being used around leasehold. You very rarely hear the positives. And I could go on for ages about it. I'm going to try and just rein it in. I think for me, it's just that piece around you aren't doing anything other than just taking our money and we get nothing for it. That, I think, is probably the best way to sum it up, because we all know as property managers and in the industry who we're giving that money to and where it's going. And yes, we get a management fee. And yes, it's one of the smaller slices of the pie usually. But it's definitely a huge misconception that service charges are being misappropriated or just demanded for giggles.
And just for the sake of it. And, I wonder how many people actually read their budgets though and understand, where, where the management fee is right at the bottom of the page. Yeah. Actually, all of these things, keeping the lights on is costing probably half of the budget. Maybe not so much for, a smaller development, but
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. And it's that perception, and it's all the things that you do behind the scenes as well, isn't it? Like, the lights are one thing, but the fire risk assessment, and obviously with HRBs, the people that are managing those know the pain points of that. The FSR, right, the Fire Safety Reform Order that came on 23rd of January 23, all the additional costs associated with that. I think the TPI reported that the average additional cost for an HRB per year is £171, I want to say, back last year. I mean, that could be different this year. So it's these things that the resident isn't seeing that. And the tangibles, the concierge service, the landscaping, the cleaning, the lift working, those are tangibles. And they think that's all it pays for. But going back to your point, like, it's reading that budget pack. Our budget pack for Battersea, our budget is huge. And, over £20 million in residential budget across the scheme that we're managing, that I'm managing, my team are managing. And we do a 30-page budget pack for that. We go into real deep dives on all of it. And I have conversations, no joke, where, hello, my service charge is too high. Okay, do you understand what's in it? No, it's just too high. Okay, have you read your budget pack? No. Okay. We spend all the time putting all this information together to try and help people, but they do have to partake in that assistance, have to be part of the process. We also do online budget presentations, so we invite people to those to talk through not just the pack itself, because we don't want to read out loud lesson, but to kind of guide people. And we're also working at the moment on some summary sheets, because we do know that people are like, it's the Amazon culture of want it now, what is it, how much is it, can I have it? And actually just being able to look at a single sheet or two and say, it's gone up 4%, 10%, whatever it may be, this is the big reason why, this is the next biggest reason why. Any more questions, let's do a deep dive. But I think people are preferring that very short, sharp information burst these days.
Yeah, I think so. And if you flip that to people who maybe ADHD or something like that, I know of a lot of people who you put a pack of forms in front of them, they're just going to put that in a cupboard and never look at it again. Shut the door and go, no, that's not happening. Not. That's not happening. So, so I get it. I get, you, that comes through your door and you think, oh, and you're literally going to skim down to the final point. So
it can be overwhelming, can't it, for them? Absolutely. My sister and other members of my family, brother, they're very familiar with ADHD sitting within their families. And she had a form come through the door the other day, and I know what my mum is saying, and she was just like, I don't know where to start. And it was a 60 pages, hundreds of questions, and I was like, just answer the first question, which is what's the name? And and I had to break it down for her. So when you do these packs, it's always in the back of my mind that there are people with different needs and different requirements. And I even went as far as saying, like, is this something we can put into a TikTok or a reel, like an Instagram? I don't know. I'm an Instagram
infographic or something, or something that's a bit more visually friendly.
Yeah, it's that short, sharp burst, or just audio. It doesn't even have to. You might look at a pie chart and go, "Well, that means nothing to me." But someone says to you, your service charge was 20,000, now it's 25, and this is why. It's just having a little bit of a, can I do this in 20 seconds kind of moment, and put it into a video or a snapshot. And we do need to be more diverse about these things and think about them from different perspectives, because again, it's a bit of a generational filter that's come down through the years of, this is how we do service charge, this is how we do packs. Okay, well, some of us, let's take a step back and look at this from a different angle. It's definitely needed, I think.
Yeah, but sometimes, you don't have the time, the management fee wouldn't cover a additional person who could then create those infographics or TikToks or reels or anything like that. So we can sit here all day long and debate whether or not, we should send out budget packs in a different way. But at the end of the day, there's so many variables around that, isn't there?
Of course.
It's nothing's ever simple, but we try. And I think the fact that we all try our very, very best every day to keep everybody happy, and then we just get battered for it is quite hard, really.
Difficult, for sure. I agree. It's keeping morale up can be challenging sometimes, particularly around those certain pain points in the year. Your budgets and your year-end accounts. When you're about to hit send on that balancing charge, you take a deep breath, and then you hit send, and then you run. You book annual leave.
Hide. Yeah.
You go on holiday for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, we don't do that really. We don't do that really to anybody listening. But
no, absolutely not. No. I do actually tactically plan my holidays around when I don't think we'll be busy for that exact reason, because I do want to be there to support the team, support the leaseholders, and try and fill these issues. So it is a bit of a challenge trying to get around that, but we do it, as you say, we do our best. I don't know anyone in property management that I can say, oh, they don't really try that hard. Like, everyone really is doing their absolute bloody best.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a swear? Is that a swear?
You can swear. You can swear.
I just realised I've got 44 minutes in and I haven't sworn yet. Damn.
You're doing really well. Any advice you would give to people who want to join our industry?
Oh, yeah. I think it's about being really diverse and being really open-minded. I think there's no one, okay, I say no one, I don't like talking in absolute, so I'm trying to stop myself doing that. No one and everyone and all the time, I try and stop that. So a lot of people see our industry as just being really difficult and challenging, and it does have that. For someone who's coming into it, I'd be like, look, if you want something that's rewarding because it's challenging, and something that's diverse and that can really open your mind and be different every day, like, this is for you. Because I know a lot of people that are in jobs and they're monotonous and it's samey and it's the same groups of people you're talking to. Like, we've got transient residents, we've got transient client bases, we've got retailers and commercials moving in and out. Like, having diversity in a role for me is so important to keep you interested, keep you motivated. There's so many opportunities in property management and in the little niche pockets that surround it. You know, Battersea is what we call a large complex estate. Before that, you kind of got mixed use, which is there's a few shops, you know, there's a couple of bits. It's not a massive shopping centre. Before that, you've just got your 10, 15, 50 unit blocks with just resi. Before that, you've got your one up, one down. And so there's so many different areas. And then with those, you've got your little niche sidelines and the ability to focus on, say, Section 20 projects, or do pre-development design, or move into the finance side, or it's just so much. You're not stuck in a one-track kind of job. There's a lot of opportunities. So the advice is to sort of come in, be committed, be open-minded, welcome challenges, and really be open to learning, because every day you learn something new, and that is not an exaggeration.
No, and even 20 years down the line, you know, you're still learning. Yesterday,
I learned a new word from the M&E world. I mean, that's another sideline, you know, the FM, the facilities maintenance, the mechanical and electrical, like, it's just so much. And I'm learning stuff, still learning stuff every day, absolutely, even after nearly 20 years.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But finally, looking ahead, what are your personal and professional goals for the future, if you're willing to share?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The thing is, if you say them out loud, you have to kind of get on with it, don't you?
Yeah, accountable now. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So I submitted yesterday my keep talking in acronyms, sorry, it's a bad habit, SPA, which is the Senior Professional Assessment for RICS, to become MRICS qualified.
Oh, amazing. I'm going through it as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll catch up on that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I submitted yesterday, and hopefully all being well. And I was going to do a LinkedIn post this morning on it. I thought, God, no, what if they don't accept it? So I didn't. Now it's on this podcast, so it's out there. That's definitely the next immediate goal. There should be, providing it's all good, an interview in a couple of months on that, and we'll see if I'm awarded charter status. And then beyond that, I do want to keep up CPD. I was looking at NCIOB, which is the construction industry qualification as well, which I got interested in at Berkeley and then still quite interested in. So I might look at that in terms of professional goals, and I'm going to carry on climbing that career ladder. I'm really ambitious in the world of leasehold. I'm really keen to roll these changes that I'm making at Battersea out wider, bigger, stronger, that best-in-class kind of strapline being something that applies to all of Savills' large complex estates, you know. So that's definitely my professional goals in the next sort of couple of years. At some point, I'll be sat at the table, you know, sat around with the board and making those decisions. So that's that side of things. And then in terms of my personal, I'm always really interested in personal growth. I love a self-help book. I love a guidance. I love psychology and learning more. So I'm definitely going to keep on reading and learning on that side of things. And also personally, I probably want to look at what else I can do in terms of my consultancy and looking at that as another project for me. And I'm also keen to sort of support those nearest to me that have got some big ambitions as well. Like I really like helping people along and making people make the best of themselves. So although it's not quite personal, supporting those people around me, that feels like something that is a positive that I can do as well to kind of give back. So that's really important.
Oh, I love that, Carly. I mean, you've been amazing. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to say before I let you go?
No, just thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me on. I can't believe how quickly that's gone.
I know.
No, it's been great having a chat. I could talk for hours and hours. So I will wrap up and say thank you so much for listening, and thanks to everyone else who tunes in and has a listen as well. So great.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks, Jodie.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my latest podcast. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. The links are in the show notes. Or you can contact me on jodie@jodiefraser.com. For more content and updates, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favourite platforms. Thank you once again for listening. Until next time, take care.